All right, good morning. First and foremost, I want to thank you for coming out on a Saturday morning again. It sounds like, or it seems like we've been doing this on an annual, well, we're going to start maybe doing this on an annual basis, and then quarterly, and then monthly. No, we're going to stay to the annual basis. It was biannual, now we're going to do it annually. I don't know if we'll do it annually, but maybe we'll do it annually. I think it's a good opportunity for all of us to come together and see the other 18 town boards and CACs that are also participating in our community and volunteering and doing what you do for your respective areas. So I want to thank you for all of that and give you an opportunity here to kind of mingle, network, meet some other folks that are kind of in your seats as well, right? But in other parts of the county. So I think it's a good opportunity for all of us to do that. Also, it's a good opportunity too for us to see and meet some of our elected officials if you have not already. So that said, I do want to start off with introducing our Commissioner Justin Jones, who wants to say a couple of words, and then we'll continue from there. All right, so let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Alex. Before I talk for a minute, I want to give a shout out to Alex. Alex, we've been blessed to have Alex at the county for many years, and this may well be, we'll see, the last time he does one of these trainings, because he has announced his retirement at some point in the near future. So I want to just say thank you so much to Alex. Let's give him a round of applause. I also want to give a shout out to Brandon Monson. This is Brandon back there. Some of you already met him. Brandon just joined my team. Really excited to have him on board. He's finishing up at UNLV this semester and is very enthusiastic to get out in the community and help all of us do what we're supposed to do, which is serve the people in the community. So I really appreciate, like Alex, the fact that you guys are here on a Saturday morning. I know that it is, there are many other things that you'd probably rather be doing. But I know that you guys are all very committed to serving the people in Southern Nevada, whether you're in Laughlin or Sandy Valley or Spring Valley or Sunrise. And so we have a lot of work to do here in our community as it continues to grow. And I really appreciate the efforts that you guys put in on really being the first line of defense for items that come up to us on the county commission. We know that without you, our jobs would be much more difficult. And we know that you guys are really the folks who represent the communities in which you live and make sure that those projects put the feet to the fire to the applicants that are coming before you before they ever get it to us on the county commission. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing, and I just want to say have a great morning, and hope you learn a lot from the folks here. Shout out to Mike Shannon and Megan Holzer, who work with me. So thank you very much for all they've done for years at the county. And for all the other fantastic county staff who are also here on a Saturday. I won't be sticking around. I have a community event, coffee, at 10 o'clock, but I really appreciate all you guys are doing, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. So I also want to continue with the thank yous, I guess, and acknowledge a couple of folks here from my team. First, I want to introduce all of our liaisons. We have 8 liaisons, actually 7 right now. I'm filling in for Maryland's district. I'm a horrible liaison, so for those of you there in her 3 respective town boards, I try to do my best, but there's a lot going on. Regardless, I want to introduce to you and say hello to Megan Holzer in the back there by Commissioner Jones. Tiffany Hesfer right next to her. Sue Baker to her left. Kelly Benavides to her left. Blanca Vasquez to their right. B. Martinez, now running the camera. He took over from Mike Shannon. All right. And then Mike Shannon, I don't know where Mike Shannon is. Oh, where? Oh, there. I didn't see you sitting there, buddy.
You always forgive me when there's girls around.
All right, that is true. All right. So I also want to introduce everybody to Brian Paulson, who also is the town manager in Laughlin and kind of fills that role for us as the liaison in Laughlin and Searchlight. Also, and we met Brandon. Did he already leave too, or is he sitting down somewhere? So I can't see him. Okay, and Brandon, who's Commissioner Jones' office. I also want to say thank you to the Las Vegas Valley Water District, Chad and Mel, who are in the back, or at least Chad is, and there's Mel. Thank you for allowing us to utilize this space on Saturday morning as well. I also want to thank Katie Wapp, who helped with the presentation and helped put this together for us. All right? Okay, done with the thank yous. Okay, here we go. All right, so a couple of things. For most of you that have been either elected or appointed to our town boards, you've seen this probably numerous years. Every year we do this. But I just want to, again, give you a really high-level overview of the town advisory boards and citizens advisory councils and kind of the statutories or the statutory requirement and the statutes that actually pertain to these two areas. As you can see on this slide, it's NRS 269 and County Code 3. Chapter 3 and 3.30 for town boards and 3.32 for citizens advisory councils. But if you ever have an opportunity, please go in there and look at that. And actually, I'm going to give you a high-level overview of it, but that actually talks about your duties and what you're responsible for and why you exist. One of the things that also you're subject to, one of the areas, is the open meeting law and the ethics in government. So just like our county commission is, just like some of our other respective bodies are that the county appoints members to, you are subject to these two statutes. And in a few minutes, we're going to have our Deputy District Attorney, Steve Stryker, come up and talk a little bit in more detail about those statutes. So again, most of you have seen this, but we have 19 town advisory boards and citizen advisory councils. Of the 19, 5 of those are elected. Most of you, or some of you, are here, and so you know who you are. And then of the 19, there's actually 13 town advisory boards and 6 citizen advisory councils. Now, even though there's the difference of elected town boards and other folks are appointed, that's really the only difference between town boards and CACs. Your role and responsibilities, which we'll talk about here in a second, is all the same. You're just in some areas you're elected, in other areas you're appointed. But regardless, what you do is really pretty much the same for all 19 of them. So some of the roles that you do as town advisory boards, and all of this information too, not just this presentation, but also just more information, more resources are available for you on our county website, which I'll show you here in a second. So one of the things that you do is you assist the Board of County Commissioners in those areas that you see there. And that's what you do when you go to your respective meetings, whether it's once a month, twice a month, every couple of months, or even quarterly. It should be no less than quarterly, right? Because we need to hear from our communities, and we want to also disseminate information to our communities. But when you get together, what you're really doing is you're assisting a Board of County Commissioners. You're making recommendations to our Board of County Commissioners as well, right? In some of those areas that you see there. You're providing input from the residents that live in your respective areas. You're getting that input from them, and you're also then disseminating that back through your liaisons, hopefully, to our Board of County Commissioners. And those are at the highest levels, kind of some of the things that you do. In addition to that, and like I said earlier, you operate under the same rules as the Board of County Commissioners, and that's the open meeting law, meeting conduct. As you see with your agendas, well, there was an effort that we did probably 3-4 years ago now, where we standardized all of our agendas, we standardized our meeting minutes, so that any resident can go to any of these town boards and essentially kind of see the same information. Well, obviously the topics and issues are different, but at least be able to read through these agendas and not have to worry about, there's 19 different versions of this. So we standardize all of that so that we could make sure that every town advisory board agenda has, as an example, a public comment period at the beginning and at the end, right? And so that's part of the effort. Also, again, you're representatives of Clark County. In some cases, you're elected. That is accurate. But in most cases, you're appointed. And you're appointed by the entire commission. So you're out there representing Clark County, what we do in those respective areas. And so that is very important that you think about that when you're out at your respective meetings. And your input is extremely valuable. It's appreciated. It's necessary. but at the end of the day, you're advisory. And I don't want to say that to discount what your role is, but just want to let you know, and you've seen this, is that if your residents in your respective community or you as a town advisory board recommend to the Board of County Commissioners a certain action on an item, the commission ultimately decides what action they're going to take on that item if it gets to their level, okay, or planning or zoning, okay? So, but it is extremely important that we have you as members out in the community, that you do gather that information from your community members, okay? All right, so as I said earlier, here's the website. And actually, what you see there, access to departments. So if you were to go on our website, you'll see departments up in the top right-hand corner. You would then select Town and Liaison Services and the tab CAC Manual. And what you'll see there is, one, we're videotaping this actual training today, so you will see that there again, as you've seen in previous years. You'll also see other information we have the information there for our Town Advisory Board secretaries. Actually, are there any secretaries here from our tab CACs? No? Okay. So there's also some resources for them there as well. And then also for the public, all of this is for the public too, but there's also, and for you too, we have a list of all our town boards and CACs and maps of their respective areas. We also have locations of their meetings. And then also now, the law changed this last session as we continue going forward, but essentially you're gonna have 18 months worth of agendas, meeting minutes, and audio on our web pages. Currently we have 12 months, but as we continue to move forward, it'll land at 18 months. So over the next 5-6 months or so, we should get to the 18-month period, and then therefore we'll have 18 months of information. Okay? Any questions so far about any of this? No. All right. So, as I mentioned earlier, the video is going to be available. It can be found online. Any questions about anything so far about today? Yes, sir.
If you want to propose amendments to the bylaws, does that have to be approved by the Board of Commissioners?
So the question is, if you want to propose amendments to the bylaws that exist today, those amendments do not go to the commission. To the bylaws. However, the Department of Administrative Services, we review those proposed recommendations, and we ultimately have the ability to say yes or no or tweak them as we see fit. But one of the things that we're trying to do, just so you know as well, we're trying to keep this as standardized as possible. So if you were to look, in fact, your bylaws are on your respective web pages too. So if you were to look at those bylaws on your respective web pages and compare them to another town board or CAC, it's going to look 99% the same. Again, your role here is to provide, in an advisory capacity, information to our Board of County Commissioners for your respective areas. Okay? So we'll have to, if you have some ideas, you and I can talk after, or you can work through Brian, and Brian and I will talk about what those could be. Okay? Thank you. Anything else? No? All right. So here's today's agenda. We're gonna, which we did kind of quickly here, an overview of the town boards. Then we're gonna have several presenters come up and talk about these respective areas. On your tables, you will see you have an agenda. You also have some free pens from Clark County. We had a few extra boxes, so we thought we'd bring them out. You can take those with you if you'd like. We are trying to get rid of them. Those are yours for free. And then at the end, I'll come back and we'll do some closing comments, and then we should be done by about 4, okay? So thank you for coming out. Is it not 4 o'clock? What does the agenda say? Oh, 12, okay. We will be done by noon, actually, so let's see how this goes. All right, so thank you. Have a great day. I'll be here too. And who's next? I think it's Mike Shannon. So Mike, come on up. You're the next contestant. Come on up. I'm assuming you're...
What's that?
You get looking at
My presentation's on professionalism and